Today, we are going to talk about accidents that can happen in your kitchen. I am Leona Dooley, and this is Ebony, Ivy, and Time. And before we go on, let me first talk to you about what we're doing in our kitchen. We are maximizing our kitchens in 2021. We are making them more efficient and we are lifting up our families. Now, here at Ebony, Ivy, and Time, we love to decorate, cook, and chat. And all of these things make a home a warm and happy place. The kitchen is our hub. It's the heart of the house. It is in our kitchen where we love and nurture and encourage and guide our families over delicious meals or just across the counter. Your kitchen should be the place where everyone wants to come and have a seat and get a hug. So I'm asking you to join me weekly in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Time and see what we are doing.
Now, today, I'm going to give you some tips on how to avoid some of those accidents that can happen in your kitchen. And you know what? They happen so quickly. The kitchen has so many opportunities for accidents. And that is exactly what we're going to try to avoid today. We do not want to make any hospital runs. We are going to take a look at about 3 to 5 different ways that accidents can occur right here in your kitchen. And that is not what you want. And you are so innocent because all you were trying to do was to finish your meal, whatever it was that you were cooking or preparing. And so let's see if we can figure out how to avoid those accidents. Now, I'm working here at my gas stove, and whether you know it or not, but gas stoves have that open flame. And for years, I had an electric stove, and they have their own issues. And then there was the glass top stove. And oh my goodness, it had its issues. But my favorite stove is the gas stove. So I'm going to point you down and I'm going to show you something that we need to be very cautious of, not only for a gas stove, but with any stove. I have turned on the flame here at the stove, and you can see that it is an open flame. And while it cooks very well, the problem is that you have to be very careful about what you're doing and how you're reaching. Now you can see at this point, and I'm going to turn this off for safety's sake, but you can see at this point, I am in my robe. And I'm dressed like this for you. Now just imagine coming down the steps. You have children who are ready for breakfast. You're in your robe and you've come down to prepare breakfast. And you are here, you've got your skillet, you've got your pan, your pot, whatever it is. Maybe you're going to prepare some cereal on the stove. And you have this cutesy robe on. You can see it has dangly sleeves. Dangly sleeves. Well, dangly sleeves are an absolute no-no when you are around the stove. No dangly sleeves. No dangly necklaces. No dangly ties. Anything that hangs too close to the flame is a problem. And it doesn't matter. Now the gas stove, because of its open flame, of course, boom, poof, you're gone. With the electric stove, it may take a few more seconds, but whatever it is that's dangling over it will eventually catch on fire, to get too hot, catch on fire. Or if you get distracted, and I don't have anything on my stove at this point, but if I got distracted to turn around to talk to someone who's over across the room, can you see where my arm is? It is right here over a hot spot on the stove. And before I know it, because I'm focused somewhere else, before I know it, I'm going to have a problem. And I may even end up at the hospital. That is not where you want to be. So, dangly sleeves and clothes, no, let's not do it. Did you know that accidents can happen in your kitchen? Let me tell you a little bit about distractions. Distractions are your enemy when it comes to the kitchen. And I don't mean the enemy as far as, you need to take care of somebody, but we're talking about your enemy because it can cause you to have an accident in your kitchen. Now, I'm going to tell you my greatest nemesis. It is not being near the fire. That wasn't my problem. But what was my greatest problem was this little thing here. And he's not so little. As you can see, he's pretty big. Now, I cook. I love to cook. I'll cook for crowds. I'll cook for people who aren't even at my house. But don't distract me. If you start talking to me, I was raised to look at the people I'm talking to. And you know what happens if you're down there and you're cutting, and I'm going to give you just a little closer look here. Okay, so I'm tilting you down because I want you to see more so what's going on here than so much about me. But the reality of it is that here we are, we're cutting whatever that item is. And you know what? If I'm talking to you, I'm not looking at where my fingers are or what I'm really cutting. So we have to be very careful with distractions. Distractions cause problems here with this knife. Distractions can cause problems over there at the stove, depending upon what you have on. And really, even if you don't have on something loose, a distraction can cause a problem. And we need to be more aware and on top of our game. I'm going to link you down below to some of my other videos that deal with my favorites in the kitchen and some concerns in the kitchen of things we do and don't want to do in the kitchen. But today we're dealing with things that really can send you to the hospital, either you or even a family member to the hospital. Now let me tell you a story. My granddaughter, who at that point was probably about 2.5, 3 at the max, as I think back on it, she loves, even today at the age of 7, she loves to be in the kitchen when you're cooking. Now, of course, now she knows that her hand should not be anywhere near the top of this stove. But when she was closer to 2, it was all about trying to get up so that she could see what Mimi was doing at the stove. And we had an incident because I am in the process of dealing with something very, very hot, and I'm talking to her and saying to her at the same time, stand back from the stove, stand back from the stove. And I had reached over to get something before it burned, and that quick, her little hand was up here on the stove. She hit it hot, needless to say, it didn't linger, but her little hand across her fingertips were burned. And we didn't have a gas stove, thank God, because at that point it might have really been even more so serious. But fortunately, the eye of the stove was not up high, but it was hot enough that we had a problem. We had to use emergency types of things with ice and those kind of things. We didn't have to go to the hospital, but it could have been a very different situation. Now let me tell you one more thing that happened. She had a doll, and she was playing with the doll, and she's got this doll with her, and I can't remember the name of the doll at this point, but she wanted, we'll say Susie, she wanted Susie to see what Mimi was cooking. And so, of course, she put Mimi up here. She put Susie up here so that she could watch Mimi cook. Now, you know a doll and heat do not get along. Well, the hair of the doll got a little singed. The doll was in good shape. We had to give her a trim, but she survived the accident. Now, that was 2 incidents, same child, that quick, of things that can happen here in the kitchen. Now, we do not want our family members, grandchildren, or our children to get hurt at the stove. You know, we've got knobs along here, and I usually try to lean in a direction, and yes, I lean in a direction, whereas wherever they are, I try to block off this area between the stove and them where they're playing, so they will not come through here. And if I'm going to really get serious and fierce with them, it's going to be because they're coming in the kitchen area and they're coming in the cooking area where too many accidents can happen. Don't get distracted. Watch this area, this hot area. This is a hot area. And keep that knife, if it's in your hand, keep your eye on the knife, not on anyone else. Because a cut finger, and I've got 3 places on my whittle thumb because I had to go and get stitches because I cut my finger. I was running my mouth. And so, which you know I like to do, but not when I'm cutting. And now I've just gotten to the point where if I'm getting ready to start chopping something, there's a lot of people running around, we got a lot of stuff going on, and way too many distractions. I'll say, okay, nobody talk to me. I've got the knife out. And you'd be amazed at how quiet this kitchen will get, because everybody in my family knows if the knife is out and I'm talking, there's gonna be a hospital run. My friends, you have probably had a close encounter in the kitchen. And what you don't want is to have accidents in your kitchen. You want your kitchen to be the safest place it can possibly be. So that may mean that your nice warm fuzzy or your sweet silk robe that you absolutely love, that you may have to dress before you get into that kitchen so that you will not catch your favorite item on fire by accident, nor catch yourself on fire. That's the most important part. You do not want the fire department involved, and you do not want to have to go to the hospital. Second, you want to make sure that you're focused, that you don't have distractions, that you're keeping your eye on what you're doing, that you will not be like me and you're talking and trying to cut things at the same time and end up in the emergency room and having stitches on your whittle fingers. That's no fun, or even someone else's. Now, so those are things you don't want to do. And you just want to make sure that those who are in the home with you, that they are safe as well. That number one, you're not distracted and you've laid down kitchen rules so that they know what not to do. And if you have little ones, little little ones, they can get on things so fast. Before you blink, they've already done what it is that you've just told them not to do, but they've done it anyway. And unfortunately, sometimes there is an accident. Now, I hope that should you have an accident, that it is as minor as it can possibly be, because you do not want to have to go. First of all, you don't want to have to go to the hospital. And number two, you don't want to have to call the emergency 911. And number three, let's not use up all the bandages in the bathroom. So let's make sure we stay safe. I keep a supply of first aid kit in the kitchen because you just never know. You never know. And so you want to make sure your knives are sharp, that they're in a safe sleeve, and there's just all kinds of things that we can think of. But these are the ones that we're going to deal with today, because we want to think, stay focused, dress appropriately, and keep your little ones as far away from that stove as you possibly can. Now, I hope you have enjoyed being in the kitchen, because you know, I've been a mom, a wife, a grandmother for a very long time. And as you know at this point, for those of you who have followed me. And so because of that, there are a lot of things that I have to admit I've done wrong. And it's because most of the time that I'm in a hurry. You know, when you work, and whether it's in the home, out of the home, you have children running around, things happen. But you know what? We're going to learn together. We're going to practice together, and we're going to stay safe in our kitchen. And we're not going to have accidents in our kitchen. I'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed being in the kitchen. Together we've chatted and accomplished so much. So if you like cooking and decorating and sharing and haven't joined the family, please do so by selecting the subscribe button and by tapping that little bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I upload. And also, please support the channel by giving me a thumbs up before you leave. I am so looking forward to seeing you right here at Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, where we work hard, we love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. Have a wonderful and blessed day.